The harvesting time is more profound. It's almost like the weather changed on the earth that lets you grow things that you never were able to grow before and faster. That is the metaphor right now for what's going on with the old soul. You are being given seeds. Then the seeds that you're being given right now are for you to plant and harvest in a very fast return that you've never seen before. You're still in an old energy where you go someplace and expect a result instantly. I need this, I need that. Well, let's talk about one kind of seed. There will be many, and I'm going to extend this into the circle of 12. This planet, you, your life, everyone around you, needs to start seeing and recognizing benevolence. Benevolent change in the way things are, the way they work, the reactions to people, a higher consciousness. I want you physically to see those seeds that have been planted in you as an old soul that you came in with now suddenly are released. I want you to visualize, if you choose, something that every child has seen. You punch a seed into the ground, you cover it with dirt, and you water it. And in your case, those seeds are the seeds of high consciousness on this planet that you alone can visualize, putting them into a wet earth perhaps and covering them with dirt and rich soil and watching them start to germinate and grow instantly. And you water them with intent, with love, compassion, kindness. And when they start to grow, along with all the other old souls that are doing certain things, this planet is going to see that they represent the food of truth. And you're going to start understanding that the harvest from them will start to be seen not in months, not in even weeks, but almost instantly. These are multidimensional seeds. And they're of a kind that I want you to see as something new for you in your life. That you came in with this, but now you can plant them. And you can plant them figuratively, metaphorically, anywhere you wish to. But as you plant them in one place, they harvest everywhere. That was the subject, was it not, of the questions of the day that my partner and his partner just took for you. A seed that is planted will harvest everywhere, even though you punch it into the ground, perhaps even in your own life. Start to visualize if you wish to. Start to think about if you wish to. A planet where benevolence starts to occur. And the benevolence is a result of the light that is coming in, that so many are afraid of because it's causing so many problems. It's not causing the problems. It's just exposing what was already there. Do you see any agendas that might have been advanced because the light is coming? Yes. Have you seen anything else that you think happened randomly on this planet, including diseases or what, that may have actually had a source that you didn't expect because the light was there? Anything to slow up the planet because the light is coming. Have you seen it? This may start making more sense to you metaphysically, dear ones. That maybe the things that have started happening since 2020 they had something else going on, a result of a little too much light on the planet to push you backwards, to make you angry, to make you afraid, to make you fearful. It won't work because light will show through all of this. But now you understand you are carrying the seeds that can be planted. Think of it that way and you won't feel useless. Think of it that way. Is there something I can do for the planet? Yes. Start pushing those seeds into the ground and visualizing benevolence everywhere you walk, everywhere you are. Benevolence in every system on the planet starts to arrive. That's what old souls do. It's time to sow those seeds. It's time to push them into the ground. This is the shift. I am Kryon, in love with humanity. And so it is.
And from that beautiful place where Kryon has taken us, I invite you to bring the energies of Kryon and that channel back with you as you make that transition to become fully aware of the room you are in. Bring your attention and focus back into your body. If you've had your eyes closed, I invite you to open up your eyes. And now that we have your focus and attention and awareness back into this alert phase, I am so super excited to have two amazing healers joining us on our program. Their names are Karen and Eben, and I want to make sure that they're there on the Zoom feed. Karen and Eben, are you there?
We are here loud and clear. It's good to be with you today.
Yes, thank you.
Wonderful. Well, I didn't give the full names of those two delightful couple. We're going to do that now as we read the bio.
Well, this is a very special day because these people are just people you need to know. I would like to have Monica, would you start with Karen, and then I'll go with Evan.
Absolutely. So Karen Newell is an author and specialist in personal development with a diverse body of work that rests upon the foundation of heart-centered consciousness. I love that. It's not just consciousness. She's focusing on the heart-centered consciousness. As an innovator in the emerging field of brainwave entrainment audio meditation, Karen empowers others in their journeys of self-discovery by demonstrating how to connect to inner guidance, achieve inspiration, improve wellness, and develop intuition. Karen is the co-founder of Sacred Acoustics and the co-author with Eben Alexander of Living in a Mindful Universe.
So let's talk about Eben Alexander for a moment. Eben Alexander, MD, was an academic neurosurgeon for over 25 years, including 15 of those years at Brigham and Women's Hospital, Children's Hospital, and, of course, Harvard Medical School in Boston. He experienced a transcendental near-death experience, we call that an NDE, folks, during a week-long coma from an inexplicable brain infection that completely transformed his worldview. Everything changed. He's a pioneer scientist and modern thought leader in emerging science that acknowledges the primacy of consciousness in the universe. I hope you got that, folks. He's an author of New York Times #1 bestseller, Proof of Heaven, The Map of Heaven, and Living in a Mindful Universe. Karen and Eben, it was a delight to have you on this show. Welcome.
Well, Lee and Monica, it's great to be here today. Thanks so much for having us on.
I am so looking forward to this discussion.
You, Eben, probably have said this. You've told your story thousands of times, I'm quite sure. But for those who have not heard it and all like that, I know you can make it concise, but what happened?
Well, important to point out, I'd spent 54 years of my life honing a scientific worldview. All began with my father, who was very influential as a scientist, neurosurgeon, but he was also very religious. He believed in a loving personal God. I had struggled with that through much of my life. 15 years teaching at Harvard Medical School, I felt very confused about the notion of conscious awareness surviving death of the brain and body. And that's why my NDE was of such value to me. What happened in that week in November 2008 changed my life forever. It's been written up as a case report in the Journal of Nervous and Mental Disease by 3 doctors who were absolutely astonished by my recovery. But the essence of it was, my journey was very in the setting of complete amnesia. I knew nothing of Earth, humanity, Eben Alexander's life. It was an empty slate. And that's unusual for NDEs, but in many ways, looking back on my own over the first few years, I came to realize why it was so important. And very briefly, my journey involved several different kind of layers of the spiritual realm. Earth Were My View is where it all started, very primitive course on responsive realm, but I was rescued by a slowly spinning white light that came packaged with a perfect musical melody. And that served as a portal up into a rich gateway valley that had many Earth-like features. I was a speck of awareness on a butterfly wing, luscious valley and meadow down below with all these souls between lives, lots of dancing and merriment, but it was being fueled because up above were these swooping angelic choirs emanating chants and anthems, hymns that would just thunder through me. And it turns out that a companion with me on that butterfly wing was very crucial. If those who have read my book, Proof of Heaven, will realize at the end of that book, 4 months after my coma, coming into a realization of how all this happened and that my guardian angel was someone very important to me, but someone I did not know in my life. And that's a long story. We don't have time to go into it all. But the essence of it was, given the documented damage to my neocortex that is very clearly spelled out in that case report in the Journal of Nervous Mental Disease, it's very clear that my brain did not come up with a hallucination or dream. My brain was far too ill for that, and that's why the scientific community takes my case very seriously. And I've spent the 13 years since that coma experience working as a scientist with hundreds of scientists around the world to more fully explain consciousness and these incredible human experiences for what they show us about the nature of reality.
That makes my heart sing so much, hearing every single word that you have said. And in particular, you mentioned the melody of music on the other side. And so that makes me want to ask Karen, who focuses on music, tell us a little bit about you and how you started.
Well, I started just with the kind of curiosity we all have about why are we here and what is our purpose. And I knew from all of the reading that I was doing that meditation, learning how to quiet the racing thoughts in our mind, was highly critical to this process to generate firsthand experience. And so through lots of trial and error, I discovered a certain type of sound, specifically these binaural beats that are contained in brainwave entrainment audio recordings, really helped me to quiet the mind. And it was in that setting that I met Eben. And he, after his coma, 3 years after his coma, he was also exploring sound to get into expanded states of consciousness, much like he experienced during his near-death experience. And so it was in this setting where I met Eben, but it was way before his book came out. I didn't know his story. I did know that he had had a near-death experience. So I'm making conversation with him at this workshop, and I said, you know, I knew I'd known others who had had near-death experiences, and I knew they came back usually with these very profound, deep, spiritual, often very personal lessons. And so I just cut right to the chase, and I said, so what was the lesson? What did you learn? What was the gist of it all? And he looks at me and he says, the brain doesn't create consciousness. And this confused me. And I said, well, why would anyone think that it does? Because I didn't understand the materialist worldview, that was basically the foundation of the materialist worldview, is that consciousness arises from the brain, from physical matter. And I had understood already through my own exploration and personal experience that our souls are fundamental. That to me is what consciousness is, the part of us that comes into the body and inhabits the body. But it was through this sound that I was able to experience much of what Eben experienced, not in the same intensity, don't get me wrong, but I was able to touch that love. He didn't talk about the core realm, but after he was in that gateway kind of earth-like realm, it was the angelic choirs, the music that sort of put him into the deepest realm of his experience. And that's where you felt it in the gateway too.
Divine.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the oneness with the divine.
That God force, it becomes the source of our very conscious awareness. I mean, it was an astonishing experience to go through, and it really it's taken me 13 years to even get to this point, and I'm sure I still have a lot of work to do in understanding it, but it's extraordinary where the scientific world is headed on the primacy of consciousness in the universe.
And that is so important to Eben, but I was more interested in, what about that love? Why aren't you saying that's your most fundamental lesson? And he says, well, it really is, but the truth is you can't bring that love back here. The love he experienced there, he has not necessarily experienced in the same way here. And I said, well, I've touched that love. I think you can bring some of that here. And it may not be the same intensity, but the love that I've touched, and I'm sure many of your listeners have, it's real, it's palpable, it's very hard to put words to it, but I like to use words associated with light, like shimmering or glistening or radiating. That's what love is. It's kind of an active feeling that moves and shifts in your body. And while we definitely connected on the intellectual concept of the brain doesn't create consciousness and this loving kind of connection, we also experienced a very deep personal connection when we first met that changed both of our lives even more significantly. But we have now come together. Eben wanted to teach others how to experience these kinds of states, and that's when he invited me to help teach others how to use this sound. And he was actually the catalyst for my business partner, Kevin Cossey, who's the audio engineer extraordinaire. He and I create these recordings, but